throw fluff with this. One thing that used to really annoy me, not annoy me, but one of the things I used to find is a lot of mentors, coaches out there, there'd be a lot of fluff around testimonials, success stories, and all of that stuff, which is great. But genuinely, like, I want to give value and I want to help you, because ultimately, I want you guys to be successful, so that, yeah, when you're successful, or that I've shown you I can help you, maybe one day you'll come back to me and be like, look, I want you to help me take it to the next stage. I want you to get me to that 5K a month, that 10K a month, whatever it is. So let's get stuck into it straight away. So the one thing I first want you to, I want to go through and talk about and make you all super clear on, is that when anyone ever says something is dead, so email is dead, organic is dead, Facebook is dead, it's not. Every single method for acquiring clients still works and will always work. So webinars can work. Email definitely still works. Every single method can work. And if you ever find yourself telling yourself, oh, this doesn't work or that doesn't work, then it means that you maybe need to pivot. The thing that changes is essentially the strategies and the techniques or the tactics. The principles are always the same. So challenges can still work. I used to use them really profitably a couple of years ago, and they can still work, but you maybe have to change the technique strategies. Now, the reason I'm telling you this, and the reason I'm talking about like why to take note when people start saying something is dead, is because what that means is people in the marketing world are starting to pivot towards something else. And they're starting to draw people to this new shiny object. All right, so it's a way for them to sell stuff. But that's an absolutely amazing opportunity. Facebook isn't dead, and I'm gonna highlight to you just how not dead it is, and how Facebook groups are not dead. I'm gonna give you some actual numbers and statistics that will really highlight this to you. But what this means is this is actually a great opportunity for those that take note. So whenever you see marketers, anyone online telling you that something is dead, use that as an opportunity to maybe double down or dial in on that. Now, obviously, you can move with the crowd, but if everyone's moving in a certain direction, then you're just going to be going to the same place, and then you're going to be competing in a saturated market or in a place where everyone is currently competing. So take note of that stuff. Now, here's to highlight just how Facebook is still a fantastic platform to use. So first of all, it has 3 times as many active people as Instagram. So there's 3 times as many active users on Facebook than there is on Instagram. So straight away, your audience is massive. Like, it's so much bigger. We're talking billions of people. So Millie's put, yes, I 100% agree with this. I hear Facebook is dead, but I've only ever built on Facebook. It's definitely not dead. And I can tell you, and I'm going to give you some examples of this as well. So first of all, it has 3 times as many users as Instagram. Instagram is the second biggest platform. All right. So 3 times the size. Like, there are more people actively on Facebook, even though people might moan about it and people might be leaving Facebook. There are still more people and if there's more people, there's more opportunity. Oh, sorry, I'm just letting someone in, so you'll have to jump in. The second thing, and this is the thing which is absolutely key, and I'm going to focus on Facebook groups and how to build a profitable Facebook group. When you look at Facebook groups, the reach inside of Facebook groups, the reach is basically how many people will see your content. The reach inside a Facebook group is typically anything between 30 and 60% at least. I've even had 75% of people in the group see pieces of content. Now, what that tells me straight away is that is better than email. And email is considered one of the best places to put your content to get people to see it. So typical email reach, and this depends on your size of your email list. It depends on how well you've nurtured your email list. But typical is anything between kind of 20 and 40%. If you're towards that 40% mark, you're doing a really, really good job. 20% is still good. Anything less than that, then I'd say you need to work on your email marketing. Open rates are really hard to track accurately. There's no protecting on group without a join button. So this is just a Zoom call, Louisa. So anyone I've sent the link to, like, only people with the link to this have got access to this, and I'm going to record it and potentially use this to give to other people, but you're going to be slightly ahead of the curve. So In terms of Facebook groups, by the way, if any of this doesn't make sense, if you've got questions, stick them in the chat, or as I said, unmute yourself. In terms of Facebook groups, as I said, you're going to get 30 to 60% of people see your content, and you can get up to 75%. In terms of your reach on social media, you're looking at 10%. 10% of your audience actually seeing your content. Of course, you can use Reels at the moment on Instagram, which are going to get you more reach. Now, more reach doesn't always equal more followers, doesn't always equal more buyers. Reach is great for getting new eyes on your stuff, but actually, if it's not the right people that are seeing your stuff, then it doesn't really matter. Whereas if you're using a Facebook group, essentially your Facebook groups could be titled about what it is that you help people with. Anyone that joins it has straight away basically said, I'm interested in what you've got, I want your help, and they're very targeted. So one, you're getting 30 to 75% of that group see your content. Two, you're having people that are very highly targeted. So they are people that are genuinely interested in what you've got to say, what you've got to offer, and maybe potentially want your help. So just comment, just let me know in the chat if this is all making sense, just so I know that everyone's with me and this is all helpful so far. Now, Louisa's put, sorry, I meant when you talk about Facebook groups. Okay, so what I would recommend with a Facebook group is one, having it visible but private. Okay, so we're now going to start to talk about how to build a Facebook group. So the reason we want it to be private is that gives people the security to feel like they can open up and they can share within that group. But you also want it to be visible so your group can be found. When you start to get a larger group, so when you start to build it and you're getting thousands inside your group, what will actually happen is you will get people joining your group organically week upon week upon week. So one of the coaches we're working with, they've got an absolutely huge group. I think there's about 55,000 in there. Organically, they get probably another 50 to 100 people every single week without having to use paid advertising, without having to do any social media marketing. So when you start to grow your group, you want it to be visible so that then more people find it and jump in. And going on to this, your name then needs to have keywords. So think about who is it you help and what is it you help them with? How can you incorporate that into the group name so that it's super clear so that when people are searching for certain things on Facebook, you will pop up. Okay, so let's talk about how to build this profitable Facebook group. And by the way, is there any questions that like so far in terms of, you know, comparing Instagram to Facebook? You know, maybe you want to check some of the stuff that I'm saying and you want to question it. So I'm not saying Instagram is dead. I'm definitely not saying email marketing is dead. But what I am saying to you is that Facebook definitely isn't dead. It is highly profitable. You just need to know how to use it effectively. And essentially, I personally, from my experience and what I'm going to show you today and talk to you about today, I think that Facebook groups specifically are probably one of the most profitable and best ways to gain clients. What's the top words searched? Okay, I don't know the answer to that question, Nathan, but what I would say is, what is it that you help your market with? What do they care about? So it's not necessarily the top words that you want to find, it's the words that are related to your niche, your market. So let's say your goal is to help menopausal women lose weight. In your name, in your group name, you want to have the word menopause and weight loss or fat loss or something along those lines. So you need those keywords in there so that it's really, really clear who your group is for. So that, again, is almost like when people join your group, they're saying, I fit into this category. This is what I'm after. Okay, so to grow your group, whether it's ads or whether it's organically free, you need to give people a reason to want to join you, okay, to join that group. Now, when I first started using groups effectively, which was literally just over a year ago, you could literally say, join my free group. In my free group, there's XYZ. And that was actually profitable using ads. There wasn't really, you didn't have to offer much value. However, as with everything in the market becomes sophisticated, all right? They see the same messages, they see the same offers. So the offer is join my free group. So you need to pivot and you need to learn from this. And this is always going to happen with whatever strategy, whatever techniques you're using. You need to learn with them and you need to pivot with them. So, for example, one thing that you need to do is you need to, first of all, understand your market really well. So who is it you help? What are their problems? And what is it like? So you may have noticed I've been polling my group recently about what it is they need most help with. How is it that they want help with that? Do they want a course? Do they want like a one-page document? Do they want a video training? So what this does is this allows me to build a specific lead magnet that they want. Okay, I'm not assuming anything, because as you know, it says assuming makes an arse out of you and me. I am understanding my market. I'm asking them questions. I'm putting everything to them because I want to help them. And they're telling me exactly what they want. Now, by knowing this information, I can then put that out there and say, right, I've got this. I've built this for you. Come and join my group to get access to it. So you need to think about, what is it your group like? What is it your niche wants? What is it they highly value? What would really tempt them and draw them into your group? All right. A couple of key things here with Facebook groups that are going to make a big difference. If you are not actively growing your group, so you're not constantly adding people on a daily basis, then that will impact engagement. So that will impact the people that actually interact. Now, it doesn't impact reach, not really. Reach is still going to be somewhere between that 30 and 75%. So people are still going to see your content. Oh, got a couple more jumping in. Someone else I'm just letting in. So you need to make sure that you're actively adding people to your group regularly. If you think about it, if you've ever used group strategies, or if you've ever used done anything in the past where you've got new people in to something, they're the most excited. They're brand spanking new. Like, they want to get involved. They want to ask questions. So they're going to be the ones that are most engaged. So if we constantly are engaging people into the group, getting people to ask questions, then that's going to help with engagement in the group. So focus on growing your group. All right. So having conversations with people, directing them to your group on a daily basis. You should easily be able to, organically, without even using ads, should easily be able to grow your group by at least 5 people every single day. Doesn't sound like a lot. 35 people a week, 70 every 2 weeks, 150 nearly a month, 150 people. And when I go through the numbers, 150 people is at least, a couple of sales. So I'm going to go through that in a little bit. You must be consistent though, as well, within your group. Now, consistent doesn't mean posting 3 times a day. In fact, it's the opposite. Oh, okay. Are you talking about adding Facebook friends? So adding people to the group is going to be Facebook friends. It could be Instagram. So you can take people from Instagram over to Facebook. I focus pretty much all my energy at the moment on Instagram because I'm working with you guys, trainers, coaches, PTs, and that's where most coaches, trainers, PTs spend their time. But that doesn't mean that I can't use Facebook groups effectively. Just because my market hangs out somewhere doesn't mean I can't take them somewhere else. And actually, it means that I can market in 2 different places quite effectively. So if the place where you get engagement is Facebook, focus on adding friends on Facebook, take them into your group. If your market, your niche is on Instagram, and that's where you get engagement, build relationships there. When the time is right, take them across to your Facebook group, and where you can provide even more value and you can give them an even better experience. Now, going back to being consistent. In fact, the absolute opposite of posting 3 times a day. So most organic content people will tell you you've got to post 2-3 times a day. You've got to be constantly doing it. With a Facebook group, you actually don't want to do that. If you are posting more than once a day, there's too much. People are busy. People don't want to get constant notifications. Oh my God, he's posted again. Oh my God, got 3 posts a day. What do I need to do? Literally, you need to post once a day, if that. So just so you're aware, when I started using Facebook groups, I was going from 5 to 15K a month, all the way to 20 to 35K a month. And I only posted inside the Facebook group a maximum of 4 times a week. That's it. But I was consistent. I did the same things every day, every week. So Monday night, I did a live into my group. Tuesday, I did a replay post. Wednesday, I did a question post or a testimonial. And then Thursday, I did like a value post, an objection handling post. And that was it. Just did that every single week, week after week after week after week. What that does is that builds trust, that builds that know, that like, it gets people to go down that process to eventually raise their hand and become a client. But consistency is most important. It's not, when I say consistency, it's not the amount, it's the days, it's showing up, it's doing the same thing. So if you can only post 3 times a week, post 3 times a week. If you can do it 4 times a week, great. 5 times a week, great. But once a day for that set period, the same kind of stuff each week, but from a different angle. Have a strategy. So the next like big tick that you need is you need to have a strategy with your content. So each one of those posts I just explained to you, there was a reason behind them that was taking someone from being a cold lead, because I used ads, to becoming a client. So don't just post for the sake of posting in the group. Like really think about what is it you want as an outcome. So typically there are 3 main things that you need to do with your content. You need to handle people's objections. So every time you have a conversation with someone and they don't book a call, every time you have a call with someone and they don't buy from you, they've given you an objection. Now, they might say it's money. Typically it's not money. Typically it's something else. And they might talk about time. They might talk about how they don't really know how you're different from anything else. You need to start writing down all these objections, all the reasons that people won't buy. And in your content, in your group, once a week, you need to be knocking them down like dominoes. All right. You need to pre-sell people. So social proof, show people how you can help, show them your unique methodology, like how you're different from everything else. You need to pre-sell them so that when they get to that time when they have a call with you, they already understand what it is you do, how you can help, and how you're probably the best solution. And you need to generate conversations. This is the most important thing. And this is where most people go wrong. They put content out, whether it's social media, whether it's in a Facebook group, and they just expect people to come to them. You need to generate conversations with your content. So you need to get them to raise their hands. You need to offer them value. You need to put stuff in there that's going to get them talking. And if not, you need to go out and make those conversations. Because without having a conversation with someone, you're not going to take them down the process of buying. So I've given quite a few like do's and don'ts here. Does anybody have any questions about anything I've shared so far? And let me know in the chat if this is all valuable or helpful stuff at the moment. So there's only one kind of last thing that I want to go through. So essentially, if you can start thinking up your questions, anything that would really help you, start sticking it in the chat, and I'll make sure I answer them before we finish up. But as I said, I'm more than happy. I want to give as much value to you as possible today. So please do make sure that you come away and you're super clear on like a strategy that you can implement. Okay, so 1 to 3% will buy typically, and this is social media. This is your Facebook group. So if you've got an audience on Instagram of 1,000 people, that means that within your followers, you've probably got between 10 and 30 buyers. In your Facebook group, if you've managed to grow your group to 1,000 people, you've got about 10 to 30 buyers. Typically, if you've got the right strategy in place, you're looking at 2%. Okay, 2% is pretty good. And sounds crazy, but this is how you build a predictable business. So I tracked my data all last year, and from starting a Facebook group and using it a set kind of like what all the things I've talked about, it was 1.8 to 2.6%. So we're talking like a 0.8% variation. So 1.8 to 2.6% bought every single month. And there was actually like 4 months in a row where it was like 2.06, 2.03, 2%, where it was exactly 2% every month, 2% of group joins. So what you need to do if you're using this method is you need to track your data. You need to track what's going on. How many people are joining? How many people you're having calls with? How many people are buying? Because then what that allows you to do is that allows you to have confidence in what you're doing One, get rid of any kind of self-doubt and emotions, because it's data that doesn't lie. And then you can then use ads and you can scale what you're doing. If you're consistent and if you've tracked your data and you know exactly what you're doing, this is where you can scale your business. And this is how I was able to go from, I think the month before I started running a Facebook group with ads, I was only at 5K. I only hit 5K the month before. The reason I only hit 5K is actually my ad account wasn't working. And I wasn't like, it was much, much harder to hit those bigger numbers. But because I was tracking my data, literally 30 days later, I went from 5K to 30K. But the reason is because I knew what I was doing was working. I was tracking my data. And I was like, okay, so my goal is hit X amount. That means I need to spend X amount on ads. Bang. And within a couple of grand, that was pretty accurate. All right. So track your data. Now, that's pretty much all the kind of tips, the main tips. There's obviously a lot more to it. There's kind of a lot more that I could go into, but I've already spoken for 25 minutes and hopefully you've got enough value, enough to get you started without kind of overwhelming you. I don't want to give you like a whole book of stuff to get on with and then you just don't know where to start. And obviously it's something I help the coaches I work with, like very specifically. I really help them with this. So Sarah's put, I have a Facebook group I created during lockdown. It wasn't for selling, just providing help during that time. There's about 50 people in it. Combo of old clients and mostly local people, get zero interaction now as it doesn't really have a purpose. Should I start again with a new group that is specific or adapt this one and keep the people in there? Doesn't really matter, Sarah. I'd be tempted to just use the same group and then just go through and update everything and then do like a relaunch on your content. So in terms of all your social medias that you use, like if you're going to reignite like the Facebook group and go back to being consistent with it and use it as a way for client acquisition, I would launch it. I'd literally put it out on your Instagram, your Facebook, everywhere and say, you know, I'm relaunching this, like I'm going to focus loads of energy here. Who wants to come and join? And then you can gauge interest. And essentially what you're doing then is all those people that are following you on Instagram and all those people that you're friends with on Facebook that actually are kind of like tempted by working with you, they've raised their hand. So straight away they're raising their hand by going, yeah, I'd love to jump in this group. So you're then starting to see actually how much of your following is, you know, engaged and how much of them could be potential buyers. So straight away you can start to siphon out like, you know, how effective your social media pages and stuff are. But it doesn't really matter. But you can build a new group or reignite the one you've got. It saves you time and effort just doing the one you've got. And if you leave the people in there, once you start posting content and stuff like that, they're either going to stay because they like it or they're going to leave. And when people unsubscribe to your emails, when people leave your group, when people unfollow you, it's a good thing because it means, okay, well, they're not going to buy from me. So great, off they go. You want, like, I would much rather have a smaller audience of 1,000 or a couple of hundred people, but have engaged buyers than have tens of thousands, no one engaged, no one ever going to buy. Like there's a really good copywriter, Mike Samuels. He talks about this. He's made a lot of money from email. He always focused on having high quality relationships with a smaller audience. It means less effort, less time, less conversations, but actually much higher return and a much better business. Anyway, that's all from me. So I can't see any more questions. Oh, here we go. Is anything in the Facebook automator? Oh, okay. So this is a really good question, Louisa. So the other thing, this is actually another benefit of Facebook groups. You can schedule all your content. So obviously, I know there are softwares out there. You can start scheduling content now on other platforms. But let's say you want a holiday and you still want to keep the group engaged and you still want to tick things over. You can schedule all your content for the week or two that you're away for specific times and days, like within the group. So you can pretty much schedule that stuff. When you've grown a business big enough, then you can start to look at hiring VAs and they can do a lot of their like replying in the comments, starting the conversations and all of that kind of stuff. But that's a little bit further down the line. But initially, like one of the great things with Facebook is you can schedule content. So you don't have to literally sit and post it. You can build it the week before and you can start to plan a strategy. schedule it for the week after. And you could do that every week. You could schedule a whole month in advance if you wanted. And then you can focus on the conversation part. Okay, that's pretty much it from me. Oh, got another question. Sorry, just had a client call. Sorry, I missed 10 minutes there. So I'm not sure this answered, but I have started a brand new group for my online clients and wondered how to get started adding people to it. Should I do a few paid ads to go to the group with a lead gen offer like a free ebook when joining? Okay, so we have talked a little bit about some of that. In terms of paid ads, so we literally, within the program that I run for my coaches, we have like a step-by-step like course. If you have run ads before, great. And I mean run ads recently since the iOS changes, because there's a lot of changes in that. So if you've run ads in the last year, okay, great, no problem. If you haven't, then I would recommend going and doing some learning. And so you get it all set up properly so you don't get your ad account shut down, or paying a media buyer or something like that. But in terms of the strategy, like a lead magnet, we've talked a little bit about that. So I'll send you over the recording. Just send me a private message and I'll make sure you get the recording. But you want to ask your audience what kind of lead magnet that they're going to get most value from, because it's all about them. It's not about what we think, it's about them and what they want and what they think. In terms of growing it, you can grow it organically as well. And essentially the organic strategies are, in your content, in your Instagram stories, in your Facebook stories, building your audience on those platforms organically, and then essentially driving people to your group. So you can do it organically. Like I've seen people easily, without much work, grow their group by like 5 people a day just from organic methods without spending a penny on ads. But if you've got money that you want to spend, I would say right now, with the way Facebook ads are, you probably need a minimum of £15 a day to spend on ads for them to kind of be effective, and to get enough people into your group to make sure the engagement is good. And then obviously, as I said, if you haven't run ads for, within the last year, or you've never done it, I wouldn't recommend it. There's also a lot of other factors here in terms of running ads. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. That's helpful. If you send me a private message, I'll send you over the recording. Right. I might get another question pop up again. But hopefully you found loads of value in this. Hopefully you got a lot from it. If anyone at any point wants to have a chat about potentially how I can walk you through how to do this and set this up and set up other things in your business, and help you in your business, then let me know. I'd be more than happy to have a chat with you. If not, no problem at all. Hopefully you got a lot of value from this and you can go away and start, turning a Facebook group into a group. Right. Thank you ever so much for your time. Appreciate you all coming, and I'll speak to you all soon.